Welcome back to the Pool Pro Podcast. General bacteria tests can be useful in helping to prevent illness and liability. Learn how a service company can be a part of the solution by listening to this episode.
Welcome, Kevin.
Hey, Dave. Hey, Michelle. Thanks for having me.
Hey, nice to see you.
Kevin, maybe we can have you tell us a little bit about your background and your company, Councilman Hunsaker.
Sure, absolutely. So my name's Kevin Post. I'm one of the principals of Councilman Hunsaker. We are a aquatic planning, design, and operational consulting firm. We have offices in St. Louis, Denver, Dallas, and Los Angeles. Our primary service is the design of commercial swimming pools. But we also do facility audits, feasibility studies. We've also worked closely with the American Red Cross doing risk assessments and training services. And then we work with the PHTA as well as many other organizations on our apps. So we try to provide support and knowledge to the aquatic industry.
I was going to ask, can we talk about bacteria tests, Kevin? Because I know that, we just had a podcast a couple of weeks ago with Dan from America Test Your Water. And, Dave is a big fan of the bacteria test as far as, being able to test homeowners' pool quality and things like that. And I know you're involved with that company as well. Can you just say a little bit about what your involvement is with Dan?
Sure. Yeah, I met Dan actually at the World Aquatic Health Conference. And as a past pool operator, I was really intrigued by the ability to actually do a bacteria test. Because when we test for chlorine, it's really a secondary test to validate that we've taken care of everything. We assume if 1 part per million of chlorine remains, then it's done all of its job to get to that point where it can be residual. And this is just basically validating that we've actually knocked out the bacteria. Then the real benefit becomes into areas where chlorine isn't the standard. So there are natural lagoons that are being developed around the United States, a big push for chlorine-free pools. We've talked about ozone and AOP. Both of those I've seen on residential applications where they're the only sanitizer because they're such low use, they can keep up with the demand. The need for the 1 part per million is on public access facilities. And so then the question is, what are we testing to make sure the pool is clean for users? So with a bacteria test, and this is what I plan to do here in my home hot tub as I plan to do different testing. We can actually test the bacteria levels and are we actually maintaining a sanitized level in the water with this AOP, with ozone, and we don't have to, even if we have 0 parts per million of chlorine, we'll still have something to test.
And then is it something that you think a service guy could use? I was thinking, Dave and I were talking to Dan about this, about, adding it as an added service for a service guy, a couple, 3 times a year or seasonal or whatever it may be, as an add-on to the services provided, as a service company. What do you think about that?
As part of the filter cleaning, two, 3 times a year that you clean the filter, you add that as a bonus to it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the test itself is done just like any other test you would do. So if you're doing chlorine tests or pH tests on site, you're used to using this equipment. It's got color reagents. There's the one that uses the Exact Blue that uses an app and is a digital photometer with a readout. So very simple, and I think it'd be a great add-on. One is to validate what the chlorine that you're sanitizing. You could do it before and after with the filter because you can actually do a test, not only the pool water, but the water sitting in the filter and show it before and after. And I think if there's an opportunity to do a chlorine-free application, which a lot of homeowners are interested in, this is the test you would need to do to make sure that the systems are keeping up. And so it'd be really unique if you have a homeowner that's interested in that you'd be the one providing the test.
And you did a test with this. Did you in Texas? Didn't you find Legion? Well, you didn't find Legionella. Didn't test for Legionella, but you found that there was bacteria enough to where you went ahead and took care of the problem, assuming that it was going to, detect something when you sent it on to a lab.
Right. So we actually did find Legionella because we did a case study with the company that developed this out of Canada, and we did both the tests on site. And so you're saying this is a bacteria test. It basically tells you low, medium, high. Low means you're very good, you're clean. When we did the test in the pool, all the areas that had chlorine levels came in at that perfectly good level. Then medium means you're unlikely to have any type of disease or bacteria growth, but you're certainly in an area that you should, maybe look at or consider. Where we found that was in the ramp into the pool. And again, you would expect that low, turnover, doesn't have chlorine injection right near it. So it had some residual chlorine, so it was probably safe, but an area that maybe we should look at and consider, how we get some more water flow in there. And then bad, means that you're very likely to have some sort of bacteria growth.
Yeah.
And it tells you that within 7 minutes. So as you were referencing, we did find a hot tub in the blower jets that hadn't been circulating for 24 hours, that it came back red. And we didn't know at that time whether it truly was contaminated or what with. But we also took that sample and sent it off to the lab. So 3 weeks later, we learned that there was Legionella in that spa blower jet. But 7 minutes after taking the sample, we knew we needed to clean the hot tub. And that's the difference of this product, is it's not going to specifically identify your target area, but it's a fraction of the cost in instantaneous tests compared to lab testing, which has been our historical method for finding Legionella or other bacteria.
And you're not going to wait 3 weeks to get the test results to decide if you're going to do something about it. You're going to do something about it right then and just assume you've got something bad.
Right, exactly. That was kind of my reaction to the chemist. I looked at him, I said, so is it Legionella? He said, well, we don't know yet. I said, well, I think we should just go clean the hot tub anyway.
Right.
And what you brought out is, I think, one of the biggest dangers in a residential pool that nobody really thinks about. Pool spa combos may go months without people getting in and using the spa, and that spa jet pump, a lot of times it's a separate pump, or even if it's not, there's not enough circulation and velocity through those lines to scrub out biofilm. So it's highly important to me to program a time and let those things run for 10 or 15 minutes a day and purge those lines and keep them clean. It's something I've done on my pools for years now, and I just because I started seeing algae and crud growing in the lint pots, I'm like, well, that can't be good.
Yeah. Yes, agreed.
It's just the areas that sit stagnant. So the other outside the pool, we found it in like the hose bibs, and there was a deck shower, and they just rarely got used, and they would sit there for weeks. And so it's just places that sit and making sure that water keeps moving.
The other thing is when we start up new pools where they've been under construction, a lot of the higher end pools are built along with the house, and sometimes it's a 2 or 3 year project. The plumbing goes in the ground, it's capped off and pressurized, and sits for 2 years. And when you finally reconnect that and start the pool, it's really horrible what comes out of there. And so we do enzyme startups with all of our pools, but I would love to be able to have a test like that to know that after the enzyme treatment, to know that we've gotten everything, and that the pools, when it's time to turn it over to the homeowner, I can certify to them that it's safe.
Yeah.
Well, actually, that's true. You mentioned on new builds, but if you are selling backyard hot tubs, most of those are tested for water tightness. They fill them, they test them for water tightness, and they drain them. But they're not, the little bits of water are still in all those lines, and they sit there while they get shipped, while they sit in the storeroom before they get installed. And so they all are going to have some level of Legionella, bacteria growth, something, in those pipes. We have other, you mentioned the enzyme treatment. So I've seen a lot of people do the enzyme treatment on a brand new hot tub from the showroom, and it comes out disgusting just because it was the testing. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Kevin. We appreciate it. Have a wonderful day. Stay safe in Colorado. And he's in Evergreen, Dave. I don't know if you've ever been to Evergreen, but it's a beautiful area right outside.
Yeah, I lived in Dillon for a long time.
Oh, okay. Okay.
That might beat me.
Stay safe, you guys. We'll talk soon, okay?
Thanks, Kevin. Appreciate it.
A new voice in the industry, a resource for all, education for you. This is Pool Pro Podcast. Build relationships and share important news as we get ready for our next backyard adventure. Pool Pro Podcast. Backyard adventures are better together. Please take a moment to share, like, and review our content with all of those that would be interested.